McCarthy Insurance Group, serving the community for over 70 years. For home, farm, motor, life, health and business insurance, log on to mig.ie or free phone 1800 50 11 11. Probably your best call in 2024. Charles McCarthy Insurance is trading as McCarthy Insurance Group, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
Hi Niall, love the show. Here's my problem. I've been living in a house with my three friends for the last 3 years. The rent is $950 each. We've always been good tenants. Recently I lost my job for the first time and I haven't been able to pay my rent. I'm looking for another job, but I owe a lot of money at this stage. It has been 4 months, and 2 months ago I stopped paying my rent. I obviously know this isn't ideal, but because we have always been good tenants, I thought there would be some kind of leeway. I'm in my final year of college, so this isn't an easy situation for me. I asked the landlord to give me until Easter. Easter, that's next year. Anyway, to figure it out. And I told him I'd pay it all back, but he said I'd be out by the 15th of this month. That is when the rent is due. So I'm being evicted in my final year, and I might have to drop out. I've decided I'm going to stay in the house until the guards drag me out. My mum doesn't have any money, and I know this is upsetting her, but I think she is shocked at how unkind the landlord has been. Over the 3 years, I've paid $35,000 into his pocket. Last time I spoke to her, she said I might as well stay and see what he does. What do you think? I'm under so much stress at the moment. I've already paid my college fees this year. Please help. Ellie, is it wrong to kick people out? Now, Ellie, no, it's not wrong to kick people out. It's like anything else in life. You get what you pay for, I suppose, to some degree. But I do understand your moral dilemma. And the dilemma is, at the moment, should you be booting people out on the street in the middle of a housing crisis? You've obviously nowhere to stay. You're going to have to drop out of college if you get kicked out. So should landlords be able to put people out? This is like the eviction ban, isn't it? All over again. That's what we're talking about, essentially. If people stop paying their rent, should they be booted out? We talked recently about Dublin City Council, and they're owed over 35 million in rent arrears. There are people who haven't paid their rent in 4 or 5 years to Dublin City Council for social housing, and yet they don't get kicked out. And that's just Dublin City Council. If we look countrywide, the figures are much higher than that. That's money that could be spent on education, health service and other things. Because people who are on very low rents, by the way, they don't have to pay very much, are not paying it. And they still get maintained. Because I spoke to somebody within the housing department who works in the maintenance section. And when they ring up and say, you know, my door handle is broken, it doesn't open, and they haven't paid their rent in 5 years, the council still have to go out and fix it. They can't refuse to fix it even though they haven't paid their rent. The council rarely take people to court, only in extreme cases. One guy that took to court last year owed $27,000 in arrears. Just before he got to court, he paid the $27,000, which proved he actually had it. So he just wasn't paying it. But should anybody or a family or Ellie be booted out for not paying their rent if they genuinely don't have it? Let me know what you think. The number is 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. You can WhatsApp us. Should somebody be evicted from their home if they don't have the money to pay their rent? Let me go to James. James, hi, how are you?
Good evening, how are you?
Good, James. What do you want to say?
Well, there are two sides to the coin in this situation here. This difficult predicament is in. But you look at the landlord's predicament as well, because if you don't pay your mortgage, you don't pay your bills, you're going to lose your credit rating, and if you want to buy a car or anything like that, you can't get finance in the future.
Yeah. Well, this is true, yes. And so the landlord is suffering too. I get that, yeah.
There's been a lot of debate about resident property and houses, how good investment they were back through the years, and that they're a good investment, but I don't think they are nowadays, because you've got so many issues with threshold and things like that. I remember back in the day, about 30 years ago, I worked in auctioneer in Galway, and he evicted a guy from a group of students from a house, and she said, one of the ladies said, "Have you heard about threshold?" She says, and he said, "Okay, what disease you have? Get out of my property." But nowadays, no, if it's something like that, to be an illegal eviction, it's €5,000 for a fine for illegal eviction.
Yeah. And do you think this one that wrote in the email, Ellie, who hasn't paid her rent, do you think she should be put out?
Well, depends on the circumstances. For the landlord perspective, if he can't afford to pay the mortgage and he's got...
Well, I don't. That it doesn't mention that anywhere in the email. But I'm assuming, I don't know. Maybe the landlord can afford to pay. Maybe the landlord doesn't have a mortgage. I don't know. We don't know the circumstance. Well, I tell you what. Let me just change the story then slightly. Do you believe if somebody's in a council house and hasn't paid the rent in 5 years to the council, and they have a family, 2 kids, and they just don't pay the rent, do you think they should be put out?
No.
So what should happen?
So there's a predicament to be in. Family is different than a student, really, one person.
Well, I know it's a different situation, but I'm only asking you, so what happens in that situation? If they're not going to pay their rent, what do you do?
The state property.
What?
The state property.
It's a state property.
Yes.
Well, I know. If it's a council house, yeah, it's owned by the state. So what, you just let them live there for free?
Well, they're getting a lot of houses for free nowadays anyway.
Well, I don't understand what you mean.
Well, you've got refugees coming and getting free houses.
Oh,
why should come on the street?
Yeah, but if they don't pay their rent, they should be booted out too, should they not?
Well, I don't know. Well, you see, the situation we're talking about is about the house and the person, landlord that owns the house, and he's trying to...
Are you a landlord yourself, James? Are you a landlord?
No, I'm not a landlord, no.
No, okay. What part of the country are you from, James, by the way?
There. I was on the phone last week about the cows and that.
Oh, that's right, yeah, but the cows. Yeah. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Let me go to Eddie. Eddie, hi, how are you?
Evening, Noel, you well?
I'm good. Eddie, you heard James. People basically shouldn't be put out. But mind you, he does have sympathy for it. He does sympathy for it.
Yeah, he's in a different world, that fella. So going back to, you said if they're in a council house, right, and you haven't paid their rent for 5 years, for me, 2 things should happen. 1, they should either be kicked out, or 2, it should be taken from their source of income, i.e. if they're working or their social welfare payments. It should be direct debited straight away.
Okay, taken at source.
That's how you deal with it. Yeah. Now, going back to Ellie, people aren't going to like this, but she's entered into a contract with a landlord, and she's breaking the terms of her contract.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not his fault. It's not his fault that she's not paying her rent, but the thing is, he can give her notice, get her out, and get someone else in that is going to pay it.
Mind you, it's quite hard. It's quite hard to get people out.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I'm not a landlord. I never will be a landlord. But the thing is, he shouldn't be punished because she can't pay her bills. It's a horrible thing to say, but that's the way the world works.
So at some point, he has to go in and say, "Out you get."
Yeah, I mean, he's probably paying a mortgage and relies on that money to pay the bills. She can't live there for free. I know it's shocking to hear that she's paid him 35 grand in 3 years. The country's gone down the pisser. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah.
It's dead money as well. I mean, that's half a deposit for a mortgage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's not his problem. Her plight isn't his problem. You know what I mean? And that people are going to criticise me now, but I totally agree with the landlord. He's done well in life, and he's got a property, and he's rented it out, and
it's a free market. Yeah, it's a free market. Yeah.
And if she's reneging on these terms and conditions, then she has to go. It's awful, and I know she's trying to study, and she's in her last year of college, but she's breaking the terms and conditions of her contract. You know,
she said she's asked him to give her till Easter. I mean, Easter's a long way away. You know what I mean?
I know, like, and then it's got, and then
what happens at Easter?
Hearsay. Oh, give me to Easter and I'll pay it back. Well, that's a massive leap of faith, because what if she doesn't pay back?
Yeah.
What if she doesn't get a job, and then he's further into the debt for thousands? So
that's a very difficult situation.
If I was a landlord, I wouldn't be giving her that leeway. I'm sorry.
It's a very difficult situation when you're dealing with somebody genuine and they owe you money. And it happened to me many years ago when I had a DJ agency, and there was a particular nightclub, and I was providing the DJs, and they were supposed to pay me monthly, 3 months went, no money. Oh, look, things are bad. I promise we'll pay it all back. And I had two choices. I stopped putting the DJs in, who I was paying every week anyway, because they weren't the ones losing out, I was.
Or you pay them and hope you'll get it back.
And I pay them and hope they get it back. So I was with a business partner at the time, and we parted ways over it, because my decision was we pull out while the going's good. Because at that stage, we were only down about, when I say we were only down, we were down about $7,000 on the deal or something like that, right? But he wanted to keep going. He believed they were going to do it and come good, So we parted ways, and I just said to him, right, you can keep that contract, I'll take this one, and this one, and off you go, you and me.
And how did it work for him?
He ended up at 35,000 in debt with this particular place.
See, that's the
and
risk.
then they went
That's
bust.
the risk.
They went bust.
Yeah, and I can totally see where the landlord's coming from. But landlords get a bad rap in the country. It's not the landlord's problem that the country's in fucking shithole. It's the government. And like you said, like Easter's a long time away, and she's paying, 950 quid a month? So by then it could be 9-10 grand.
Yeah.
And he's got to take her on her word. That's a big undertaking, and he's thinking to himself, I can take her on her word and hope she gets back on her feet, or else I can get her out and get someone in that's going to pay it. What's the lesser of the two evils for the landlord?
Did you? By the way, did you support the eviction ban that we've had over the last few years? We've had it a couple of times during COVID and other times as well. Did you support the eviction ban?
Like I told you before, Niall, I don't vote, but I don't support the eviction ban. I don't support the eviction ban. People think you can get things for nothing in life. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't, and that's unfortunately the way it is. If I go out and get a car on finance and I fall behind on my repayments, I can't just say, can you give me a couple of months and I'll pay it all back. It's got to be took away from me. That's harsh. It's horrible, but that's life. Life is tough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you are right. I mean, life isn't free, unfortunately. And yes, people go through hard times. And yes, if you have an understanding landlord, there's a bit of leeway maybe for a month or two or whatever, and you kind of pay him back. But there's a limit. There's a limit to how much leeway.
Sorry for cutting into there. I can understand if it was a big vulture fund that have billions, but if it's a landlord that's just he's got one house where his family in, and he's done well in life, and he's reinvested and bought another house, but he's still paying a mortgage on it. I can understand then his situation, because he's not a big multi-conglomerate that's got money to burn that can actually go, okay, I can afford to give you the time, And I do think landlords get a bad rap. Really do.
Yeah, I mean, landlords are painted as these kind of people with long cloaks and, these kind of people that move around in the night with cloaks on them. Most landlords are decent people. They're just private landlords who happen to have a spare property, And
it's government spin. Mm-hmm. We'll put the flack on them and we'll get off scot-free.
Yeah, make them the baddies.
And then you see all these people saying, all the TDs are landlords. They're not all landlords.
No, they're not all landlords. Some of them are. Some of them are. I mean, a lot of TDs do have properties. And that's only because being a TD is a well-paying job. That's just the way it works. We'll stay there for a second, Eddie. Let me go to Sharon. Sharon, hi, how are you?
Hi, good now. I think it's time that properties weren't a bargaining chip anymore. It's just got so bad. And I didn't agree with the eviction ban either, because that's the government passing it on to the landlords, and it's the government's responsibility, to
provide affordable housing.
People need housing.
You should.
Yeah.
It is their job to provide affordable housing, but they've been failing miserably to do that for the last 10 years or more.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So back to Ellie.
In this situation, if I was personally the landlord of that property, if I could afford to let her stay, I would, if it wasn't going to affect me too much financially. But if I was back to the wall and that was needed for my pension or for some medical emergency or something I couldn't afford, then I'd have to say, look, you have to find somewhere else. But it's an awful situation, really.
I mean, it's whether you're back to the wall or not, it's $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of money. I mean, if you keep doing it And you keep, I mean, there was always this theory about letting people away with things. And the classic example of that was Chartbusters. I'm sure you both remember Chartbusters, which were the video shop, or Blockbusters. What was it called? Blockbusters? Chartbusters? I can't remember anyway. Chartbusters, yeah. And there was this whole thing about when you got a video out for your £2 a night and you didn't bring it back, there was an overdue charge. And the longer you didn't bring it back, the longer the overdue charge was. So then what would happen was, somebody would build up an overdue charge of £6 or £7, and then they wouldn't bring it back at all because they knew if they went back, they'd have to pay it. So they just go to another video rental shop and rent. So in other words, you were losing business by not allowing people away with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what they used to have to do every now and again was give an amnesty just so they could get their videos back. And it ended up being the death of the video shop because so many people owe them money, they just didn't go back to them anymore. So when you start letting people owe you money, or too much money, they then start to avoid you. So at the moment, she only owes 2 months' rent, which is £2,000. But when that builds up to 9 or 10 grand, she's not going to want to pay it.
There's a lot of jobs in the country now, though. I can't understand how. You said she lost her job?
She lost her job. She's in college, obviously. That part I find odd.
There's lots of work. That part I find odd. You know, and
particularly for a
there's
student,
lots of work available, but they can't get people to fill the job, so I can't understand that. And also, when you undertake anything, when you undertake to, you know, get accommodation, when you undertake to decide to have a child, you should have relatively planned out for it beforehand. Same with a car.
What about the other?
Don't buy a car if you can't, on HP, if you know you're not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah, you got to look at the long-term plan. What about the other situation in the council housing where the council, in Dublin alone, Dublin City Council are owed 35 million or in excess of 35 million in back rent. People haven't paid rent in years. So what should happen if, say, there's a mother and 2 kids in a house and they haven't paid rent? What should happen?
Well, it's taken the proverbial not to pay rent for that many, whatever years. You know, you have to pay something, and the rents are low from what I've heard.
Oh, they are,
so, I think the government it should be taken straight out of their social welfare. Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Maybe at an amount they can afford, but, you know, because that housing needs to be there for everybody.
Yeah.
And people shouldn't be able to just sit and pay nothing, you know?
So in other words, forcefully taken or get out.
No, I know people in council houses and their rent is as low as £40 and they don't pay it.
Yeah. I know.
It's an absolute slap in the face.
Totally wrong.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, we'd all love to have £40 a week rent, wouldn't we? That'd be nice.
Oh, for a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they still won't pay it.
No. Because and the reason they don't pay it, or sometimes choose not to pay it, is because they know they're not going to be forced to pay it.
Yeah, but you see, why don't I don't know why the government haven't passed a law to allow Dublin City Council to actually tackle this problem and to go into their bank accounts and to debit it out at a tenner a week or something to have some kind of income coming back. I just don't know why they get away with it.
Yeah.
Going on fucking years.
I think it's a lot to do with it. You know, somebody will claim, well, I'm only getting 220 a week or 230 a week and you can't be taking money off me because then I won't have enough to live on. Or I don't know what the reason is, but there must be some legal reason why they can't put an attachment order on social welfare. There must be some reason when it comes to rent. Because if you are PAYE and you owe money, the banks can now put an attachment order on your salary, or the mortgage company or whoever it is can put an attachment order on your salary. Through the courts. Very easily.
Well, look, you add up the price of your bills, you pay something off the bills every week. Where people have done it for years, you pay something off your bills every week. You know, buy sensibly your food. Don't be running out getting takeaways all the time. You can do it. Mm-hmm. You know, it can be done. People have done it in very hard times.
Yeah.
And they've managed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, shop sensibly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You live on, like we did as students, live on beans and pizzas.
And these
people
days,
love to live beyond their means and then complain they don't have any money.
I remember many years ago, a friend of mine, giving out about the price of houses and deposits and how difficult it was to save, and yet the same friend was heading off on holidays twice a year. And I was going, but you can't have it every way. You know what I mean? So, anyway, say there, Jerry, hi. Hang on, Sharon. Say there, Jerry, hi, how are you?
How are you doing, Niall?
I'm good, Jerry. Jerry, should this person be booted out?
Circumstances depending, Niall, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What's the circumstances depending? What do you mean by that?
Well, if it's a student and they've been there for 2-3 years and they've been paying up all along and now all of a sudden they can't pay. Now, if they've been in Spain twice, you know, or if they've been snorting coke or doing their thing, then, yeah, out the fuck. But other than that, I'm happy to... I would accommodate them, yeah.
Are you a landlord yourself, Jerry?
No.
No.
Well...
What do you mean, well, you either are or you aren't.
I've an income from a property, right? I've an income from a property.
Yeah, by definition, that means you're a landlord.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm a landlord.
Yeah.
But I'd be...
Yeah.
Niall, it's not that funny, I swear to God, it really isn't. Like.
Right, okay.
But I'd be really, you know, when it comes to a student or it comes to some a woman, a single mother that's renting a room or renting a house from me or whatever, I'd be, you know, is she working or was she in Spain twice last year or is she driving a fucking bigger car than I'm driving and I'm paying the mortgage? You know.
Okay, so you take the circumstances into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to a student, if they're trying their best and doing their best, I'd be giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Right, okay.
But the benefit of the doubt can only last so long. Like Easter is, 5-6 months away?
Yeah.
You might give someone 2 months at the very most, but to Easter is a bloody big ask. Bills are adding up.
But I do understand what Jerry is saying.
Why is Easter a thing like?
You know what she said in her email?
What's Easter got to do with anything? Oh, I need to buy my daughter an Easter egg. So that's
no. She wants leeway till Easter.
Yeah.
Why does she want leeway till Easter?
Don't know. It says that in the email. It just says I'm in my final year of college, so this isn't an easy situation. I've asked the landlord to give me until Easter to figure out, and I told him I'd pay it all back, but he said I have to be out on the 15th of this month.
But what was the circumstances leading up to this email? You know,
lost her job. She's in college and she lost her job. Obviously had a part-time job or whatever, and she lost it.
Well, that's fine. You know, there's plenty of other jobs out there.
Yeah, we were all saying that. What's the problem in getting another job? Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more.
Can I interrupt? I'm Jerry's partner. Sorry, this is crazy, but like...
Okay, Jerry's partner.
Conversation. You know, I actually really feel for the student. Like, she is obviously 3 years and given 35,000 euros to the landlord, committed, right? And in my eyes, she has struggled for her final year, and the landlord is being an asshole and asking her to leave the property. I think it's absolutely... So
you disagree with Jerry? You disagree with Jerry?
Well,
there's going to be a row in the house.
I've actually taken the phone off him because I wanted to say, like, oh my God,
I'm hitting
so hard. When you know there is students out there and they're trying, I mean, God almighty, the price of accommodation... Jesus, and she's paid 35,000 over 3 years.
Over 3 years,
and she's in her final and thinking of dropping out of college.
Hang on for a second. Hang on, sorry. I didn't get your name. I didn't get your name. What's your name? I didn't get your name.
Rosemary.
Rosemary. Okay, well, Rosemary, can I say something to you? It's not the landlord's fault that she's young, vulnerable. It's not his fault.
But that girl obviously has been a very reliable rent-paying student.
She's not now, she's not.
3 years.
Yeah, but now she's not.
But she's in her final year, and to hear that she could drop out of college because she can't afford...
But that's not his problem.
No.
So how much Rosemary, how much goodwill would you extend to this girl? How much grace period would you give her?
I would let her... I would give her 6 months. She actually said in your email, if I heard it right, that she will pay.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would wish her goodwill and help. I mean, I think there's not enough kindness going around the world anyway.
Bet you're not looking after Jerry's properties.
Out of goodwill, if she's paid me, if I was a landlady now and she paid me 3 years full on rent, no bother, no, I think I'd have a connection with her and that, you know, and compassion if she's having a tough time. And, you know, and it's a worrying thing, and it's her parents, her family, everybody be worrying about her. And if she's even talking on the lines on her final year to fucking give up.
By the way, Rosemary, are you and Jerry married?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just curious that the two of you going to have a row. Have I just started a row of domestic? Yeah.
No.
Why are you fucking the biggest row? I swear.
No, we just love chatting stuff out, but I think it's very important, like, and help.
But Jerry disagrees with you. Jerry says we should chuck her out. Actually, his words were out to. Yeah.
No.
That's what he said.
I think what he was trying to put.
Don't be telling me. Don't be putting words in Jerry's mouth.
Circumstances are very important. No, circumstances are very important. The circumstance of every individual. I'll put you back on.
Yeah, Jerry.
Niall, I just managed to confiscate my phone back from her now, to be honest. Right, but no, circumstances are hugely important here.
Yeah, but you said out of
the renter, or we won't call her a girl or a guy or it or
the tenant. Yeah, the tenant. Yeah,
the tenant. Yeah, we'll call them the tenant or the renter or whatever. The circumstances behind this are hugely important to me as a person that would be renting a room or an apartment or a house to anybody. If they were making an effort and if they were genuine in their effort, and I could see that they were genuine in their effort. I'm driving an 08 fucking Toyota Corolla at the minute.
Right.
And if she's driving a 2022 fucking 520 BMW and she owes me $9,000 in rent, then we've got a problem.
Well, yeah, I can understand why you'd have a problem then. Yeah, that'd be fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, do me a favour. Stay there, Jerry, Rosemary and Eddie. Let me just go to Robbie as well. Robbie, hi, how are you?
Not bad, how are you?
Good. Robbie, what should the landlord do in this situation?
Well, look, I suppose it's not the landlord's problem if she's falling behind the rent. It's not the landlord's problem if she has no job, right? 100%. But it is the landlord's problem.
Well, it is now. It's the landlord's problem because he's not getting paid. But go on, Robbie.
If she's after giving the landlord so much over the last 3 years, right? The landlord can make a decision fairly easy to enter into a new contract just for her solely and say, right, by a certain date at a certain time, you're going to owe me X amount of money that has to be paid. The both parties can agree on it, get a sign by a solicitor. If she's not going to comply with that, and if Easter comes and she says, well, actually, 2 fingers to you, I've finished my college, I've moved back home with Mammy now, and you're not going to get a cent off me, then he can just take her to court, and regardless, he's going to get the money off her. So,
Robbie, I have had people on the air, landlords on the air, who have been owed 6 months' rent, and they can't get it back. You haven't a hope of getting it. You can't draw blood from a stone. If she doesn't have the money, you're not going to get it at Easter either. No matter what you have signed by a solicitor. Hang on, Rosemary. Hold on, Rosemary.
If he was going to do anything, I think, okay, Easter, Easter is a bit too far, to be honest. He could say, well, look, fair enough, what are we now? We're November. Look, I'll give you till the new year.
End of January. Yeah,
to say, look, I'll give you that, and I'm not going to give you any more. That's at least giving her something.
Well, if it was me and I was the landlord, I'll tell you what. If you give me half the rent each month between now and January, I'd be lenient on you.
Yeah, and then, look, we'd review it in January, and then put in a payment plan then to reimburse the other half.
Yeah, sorry, Rosemary, you agree with that, do you?
I do. Give the girl a chance, or the boy a chance, whoever, the tenant a chance to say, look, if I can only pay €20 or €40 or whatever it is.
That's a bit now. I wouldn't go 20 or 40 in fairness.
It
Not now
is,
950.
I know, but, in all fairness, like, I'm trying to say that person will get a job. It's only...
Yeah, why haven't they got a job, Rosemary? Who hasn't got a job nowadays?
Yeah, but like there is jobs, and that person, that the jobs are there. It's like give the tenant a chance, and especially a student. It's so hard for students.
Yeah, and I agree. But that, again, I'd say, as Eddie said earlier on, that's not the landlord's fault. Robbie, you had a story as well yourself, did you?
What's that?
It says on my screen, Robbie has a story.
No,
that wasn't.
definitely not.
I don't know. She put that on my screen. They must put that on the outside.
No, but there is, like, there can be ways around it for both parties, you know, like,
Yeah.
yes, look, the landlord, if she's been there for 3 years and if she's given so much rent to the landlord, like, sit down, have an adult conversation. What's the best for both parties out here? Does the landlord want to kick her out and try and get someone else in that maybe is not going to keep the house to a good standard, is going to piss the other housemates off, maybe is not going to pay the rent at all? You know, like, she's been there for 3 years. It, like, has to say something that the landlord has let her there for 3 years, first of all. You know, so she has her contract obviously renewed 3 times by the landlord. So, yeah, as you said there, like, okay, give me half the month's rent and we'll review it in the new year and see where we go from there. Hopefully you get a job. And look, it's come up to Christmas. She's going to get a job somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking through the text coming in. Crazy Sinead, by the way, the feminist, sent in a text saying, why is nobody commenting on how crazy 950 rent is for a room? Nobody's commenting on it, Sinead, because that's quite normal nowadays in Dublin, 950, Sinead. That's why nobody's commenting on it. Eddie, by the way, are you a landlord?
No.
Just curious.
But what I was saying there, Noel, like, take into consideration she's paid 36 grand in 3 years. I'd cut her some slack and I'd say, look, November, December, there's more jobs around then than there is any other time of the year.
Yeah.
So I'll give you till the end of January to get back on your feet.
Yeah, and try and give me half of it in the meantime.
3 months.
Yeah, try and give me half
If you
of
can
it.
get a job in 3 months, then I'd have to review it and say, right, I've helped you as far as I can. And I think that's fair.
Yeah, but the problem is that's another 3 months of 950 a month that you're never going to get back.
I know, but I'm cutting her a bit of slack and I'm saying, look, you've been a good tenant for 3 years. You've put a lot of money into my coffers. This is what I'm going to do to help you. And hopefully she'll help herself.
Yeah, Jane's had to say to my ear, tell Eddie that if she's attractive, does it make a difference?
Only if she looks like Salma Hayek, Jane.
Stay there for a second. She probably knew you were going to say that. Let me go to Jan. Jan, hi, how are you?
Hi, Niall, how are you?
Good. You wanted to make a point about people in social housing. Go on.
Well, I did, and then I have something else as well about Ellie. So, all people in social housing aren't necessarily on social welfare.
Sorry, it's difficult to hear. Are you on a speakerphone? Can you?
No.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, not everybody in social housing is on social welfare. No, absolutely. Yeah. I would agree with you. Some are just on low income. Yeah.
And just in relation to...
But going back to what was said earlier on, you can still get an attachment order. So, you know, if somebody's not paying the rent and they're on low income, they'll be getting a low rent because it's subsidised rent, of course, by the state. Yeah. And if they're not paying it, you can put an attachment order on the wages.
Absolutely, yeah. Just kind of taken off.
It's just that the problem with social housing at the moment is when you look at Dublin City Council and South Dublin Council and all the other Rathdown County Council, they're all owed millions by people who just don't pay their rent.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And that needs to change as well. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be arrears brought up for that.
Yeah. But getting back to Ellie, what would you do?
I think it's great she's going to say here at college. I don't think a landlord's going to reduce to half the rent. Like, it all depends on whether they have mortgages and their own stuff going on as well. But I do know that there is a thing in the college that's called the Student Assistance Fund that is a hardship grant that comes from Europe. So if Ellie is having difficulties with meeting her full rent, maybe she can go to the Student Assistance Welfare Officer in the college and maybe get support on towards her rent until April.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was available for
get a
students,
job.
but there you go. That's
Yeah, it's a European fund, so she's listening. She might be able to go in and get that.
And is that available for everybody, or is that means test, or how does that work?
It's available for everybody, and everybody's situations are looked to individually.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, yes, it's not necessarily means tested because the students are adults. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily always done on their parents' income, but it's all looked at. And if she is having hardship, she can bring it in, and maybe they'll help her with paying half the rent, and she pay the other half.
Yeah. Unfortunately, your phone line, Jan, is really, really, really bad at the moment. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's your phone, or maybe it's the speakery thing. I don't know. And you said you weren't on speaker, but it's just very, very difficult to understand what you were saying. Just getting back to Eddie as well. Somebody else texted and said, Eddie, that you were being really mean to people on social welfare. You try live on 220 a week and pay 40 quid a week rent. Well, by the way, if you're on 220, you're not paying 40 quid a week rent. But anyway, sorry, Eddie.
I'm sorry, I'm being really mean.
Yeah.
If you're on 220 quid and you can't survive, go out and get a job.
Okay.
Simple.
Stay there for a second. Gillian, hi, how are you?
Hi, Niall.
Are you there?
Yeah, I am indeed. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
I was finishing listening to it, Niall.
Oh yeah, no, just I think you're listening. I think you're listening to the radio in the background.
Yeah, sorry.
Turn it down. Yeah, turn it down.
It's just the way I live in. You call it social housing. Okay, I'm in social housing.
Yeah. Okay.
The difference is, my husband is a crane driver.
Yeah.
So he could work 6 months a year. It's like talking to a bricklayer. You can only build the wall so far. The wall built.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's on contract work. Yeah.
He has. Yeah, they have to go back on social welfare.
Yeah.
But our rent doesn't change. So if they're charging us €130 a week, which is over 400 odd a month,
yeah,
that doesn't change.
Yeah.
But his income changes.
Yeah. Well, it's based on his yearly income, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But now you could get 6 month contract driving a crane.
Yeah, but
6 month contract.
But to be fair, Gillian, when he is driving the crane for the 6 months,
oh no, don't get me wrong.
you're good money.
I go up with me P21s and I go up with me P4. Everything.
Yeah.
I produce everything. You know what I mean?
I know.
Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, our rent is €140, €140 a week.
Yeah, no, I know, and I do understand that. Unfortunately, it is unfortunate, but they base the means test on what you earn annually, and that's then.
They base the means test. Sorry, they base the means test is done once a year now.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Once
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
Done,
Yeah.
right. So he could get 3 months contract driving a crane.
And Gillian, with respect, how is he only in the middle? We're in a construction boom at the moment. They're gagging for crane drivers. They can't get them.
They're not.
Are they not? Are they not?
They're actually not. No, they're actually not. No.
Well,
Everyone
Gillian, with
thinks
respect, if he wants a weekly wage and it isn't happening in the crane sector, change job.
Change job.
Not
He's
rocket
60 years
science.
of age. He's 60 years of age. He doesn't know how to run a computer. He wouldn't know how to go into a computer. He's construction. He's 60 years of age. He's not going to go back.
I
And build a wall.
work in security. I could get him a job tomorrow. He doesn't have to work at a computer.
It doesn't want to move his shoulder.
You have to think to yourself. You have to think to yourself.
Come here. I know that. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I work in a deli. I'm up in my bed tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. I work 6 to 2 tomorrow for 5 days a week.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is, if I'm in a position in a job where it's quite fractious and I could be in 1 week and out the other, I'm changing job. I'm going to find something different that's going to suit my means. You know, that's life.
And you're working yourself as well, Gillian.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then 100. How much is your rent a week? Did you say 100 and what?
133.
That's all right. There's a lot of people would love rent like that.
Oh, would they?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, but 5 days a week.
Yes, they do. Loads of people get up at 5 o'clock in the morning 5 days a week.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But I'm just
I'd
saying.
bite your hand off for that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure half of the country that are paying 500 quid for a 2-bedroom apartment would love 140 quid a week for a house. They'd bite your hand off for that.
She's gone. There you go. I agree with you, Eddie. in relation to the crane driving aspect of it. If I was providing for my family and my wife as well, and they obviously provide together, the two of them, they both work, and I needed the money, and crane driving wasn't bringing it in on a regular basis, or certainly a sustainable basis, you'd have to consider changing careers, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and like she probably thinks, oh, he's been an arsehole. I'm just being logical, looking for a solution that's going to fix my financial woes.
By the way, I'm also equally shocked.
3 months a year.
I'm equally shocked if he's a crane driver, that he's not getting more work, because I know a guy who's a friend of mine who's a banksman. And as you know, a banksman is the guy who gives the instructions to the crane driver on the walkie-talkie, which is a very responsible job. He gets really good money, by the way. He works with Sisk and a few other places like that as well. But in saying that, at the moment, he said that he's out the door. Like, he's on contract work as well, based on, different buildings.
Pardon the pun, but crane money is sky high.
Yeah, it is.
So even if he was only working 6 months a year and she's working 5 days a week, they're well capable of paying 130 quid. Well capable.
Yeah.
130,
as you rightly said, half the country'd bite your hand off for 130 quid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like this girl, Ellie, is paying 950 for a bedroom. And this person is paying 130 a week, 520 a month for a 3-bedroom house.
I didn't know, by the way. I'm going to just go Google something here. What's the max rent social housing in Dublin? I didn't know.
Well, I think it changes, because if you have kids walking and they're living under the roof, then obviously you pay more.
Okay, the max you pay in Dublin is 500. That's the max. But it says here that nobody's really actually paying that much.
Right. Well, she's paying 130 a week, average 520 a month. I would say she has kids over 18 that are working, and that's what's putting her rent into the higher threshold.
Well, you're making an assumption now. We don't know that, but
no. But I'm saying the more people that work in the household, the higher your rent is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to declare that there's people over 18 that are now working, and your rent situation changes.
Yeah, the weekly average rent charge in Dublin City Council properties is $69.70 per week. That's the weekly average rent charge, while the average weekly market rent is $433 in private property. Massive difference, isn't there?
Oh, crazy. I spend more than that in fuel a week, 69 quid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm sure you do as well, coming up and down from the north.
More goes in diesel into the tank of the car, yeah.
Some people are just never happy.
Now, real people, real opinions. Nighttime Talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.